Yes, 2-shot, and then for when she starts to really answer the first question, go in and stay with her the entire time.
Oh, no, okay.
No more 2-shots until the very end, and take it off my cue when I start to wrap it up, then pull back to the 2-shot. Now, if you want to change on her,
We're ready,
then
right?
you could do that while I'm asking a question. You know, if you want to go closer, pull out. Well, Jessica, I have looked forward to seeing you again because I'm sure you remember the Kong tour, and you came to Dallas and Fort Worth, and I talked with you then, but have not had a chance to interview you since then. And so much has happened in your life, and now culminating with this bravura performance in Frances. Wow, really just special and wonderful. I just know you're going to get an Academy nomination. I'm just sure of it.
Well, I hope.
What will that do for you? That's got to mean something very special for you, Jessica.
Well, of course, because it'll be an affirmation, really, you know, that people have seen my work and that they appreciate it. So, I mean, it'll be a wonderful, I mean, if it happens, it'll be a wonderful recognition.
Will there be a bit of the feeling of, I've worked hard and now I can say to myself, I told you so?
Well, it's not so much an attitude of I told you so, but it is, yeah, because I never had the same doubts that it seemed, you know, the majority of critics or whatever had, because I always knew from my own work that I was capable of doing, say, a role like Frances. So, in a sense, it'll be, you know, it'll be some kind of justification. It'll be some kind of payoff for all the years put in to get to that point.
I understand that for the role of Frances, you beat out Jane Fonda, Sissy Spacek, Diane Keaton, Goldie Hawn, and Tuesday Weld. Is that true?
I don't know. You know, I mean, I've read that same thing in the press. Nobody, when they were casting me, ever told me, but I mean, I've heard that. I just know that a lot of people were interested in playing that part because it's such a tremendous role, and I especially think actresses were interested in Frances because of whatever parallels they feel, you know, from her life and their lives. So I can imagine that there must have been a lot of people who wanted that part. I know I wanted it very badly for years.
Did you want it more than Sophie's Choice?
To play Sophie's Choice?
Well, you wanted to play Sophie's Choice.
I would have loved, I mean, I thought, when I read that book, what, 3 or 4 years ago, I thought this is a wonderful role. But nothing's ever touched me as much as Frances has.
Do you think that Frances was mentally ill, mentally disturbed?
Never, no. I never did. And I really worked against that in playing her because I didn't want to play her as crazy. I think she was at moments driven crazy by her situation. I mean, certainly if you're, you know, if you're totally sane and you're put into a place like the, you know, the asylums that she was forced into for years at a time. And I think that I mean, it has to kind of, it has to begin to drive you crazy. But I don't think that she was ever crazy. I never wanted to play her that way.
But she was very rebellious.
She was extremely rebellious and very high-strung, and had the tendency to go off the deep end very frequently.
What do you think made her so rebellious?
I think it has to do with an overdeveloped sense of justice. You know, an overdeveloped desire for truth. I mean, more acute than in most human beings, where most human beings would kind of allow things to go by without, you know, paying much attention to. I really feel that she took everything on, you know, kind of head on. She never allowed anything to slide by if she felt that there was anything the slightest bit wrong or untruthful about it.
I read that you yourself are rebellious, that you said that you're rebellious. Is that true?
I think there was a real period in my life where I was rebellious. I'm not so sure that I am now. But I mean, anybody, especially at the beginning, you know, in my student days, politically or whatever, I mean, those were very rebellious years. I rebelled against all the traditions I was raised with. But now I find that it's kind of going backwards.
I wonder, of course, the character Harry York is a fictional character, isn't he?
Well, not entirely fictional. He is based on a person that came to us when we were working, who knew Frances from the time she was about 16, and who did have a lot of information on her and did help her out of certain situations. The situations that we created in the film were fictitious, but not the character.
Was he, in fact, in love with Frances?
I think so. I talked to him at the couple weeks before we started shooting. And he's an old man now. He was about 70 years old, 75. But you could tell that he worshipped this woman and still, you know, still thought about her a lot.
I wondered that this man, Harry York, who seemed to me to be able to give her everything that she was truly seeking. He was honest, he would take her as she was, he loved her. Why did she reject him?
Well, yeah, I think there was a point in her life where she just felt too unwhole to commit herself to a man, to commit to a partnership, to a relationship, a marriage, or whatever. And there were so many things, and Frances did everything on her own. You know, Frances very rarely was aided in any of these troublesome areas. So I think she felt that it was just something that she had to, it was like unfinished business that she had to get cleared up before she could go on with her life as a complete person. And I feel, I mean, that's the way I wanted to play those scenes, is that it wasn't that she didn't love this man, it was just that she couldn't give of herself at that time.
You have now the wonderful distinction of having this emotionally charged performance, Frances, and this darling, wonderful girl you play in Tootsie, which I just love.
Oh, thanks.
So now, what kind of thrill is that for you to know that you have these two films playing at the same time?
Well, it wasn't planned this way, although I'm very pleased that it turned out this way, because it gives, I mean, they are examples of very different styles of work, and I mean, the range between the two characters is quite large. When you have Julie at one end, who will let anything slide by, and Frances on the other end, who's such a warrior at heart, nothing goes by her. So, I mean, it was a great opportunity to do comedy and the drama.
One last question. The very first time you saw Dustin as Dorothy, what was your reaction?
I honestly thought, he can't get away with this. I honestly did. And the more I worked with him, the more I saw him, he became so absolutely believable to me as this woman, Dorothy, that there was never any question.
And ultimately, that is, that people are buying it and accepting it,
yes,
and loving
because
the film.
he is so believable.
Well, Jessica, I'm going to look for you at the Academy Awards.
Well, thank you.
And you have all this time now to think about what you're going to say and what you're going to wear. And anyway, congratulations
Thank you so
on
much.
two excellent performances. Either one of them could get you a nomination.
Thank you very much.
Nice to see you, Jessica.
You too.
Great interview.